Welcome to Leadership Traits Decoded. I'm Cynthia Kyriazis, Chief Experience Officer at the Culture Think Tank.
And I'm Drea Martin, product owner of The Crucible. We are collaborative partners at Performance Leadership Learning Lab, where we transform leadership intelligence into return-driven action.
Today, we're unpacking the leadership traits essential for building, investing in, and scaling successful companies. Our insights come directly from data-driven metrics within our platform's solution. So let's dive in.
Hello, Cynthia. I'm really excited today to pick your brain a little bit on a trait. Do you want to share what trait and maybe why this one came up in our—
Oh my, yes. Okay, expose everything. When I took Crucible Traits, my report came back and said that I had intellectual curiosity. And I can certainly identify with that. I have an interest in many, many things, but I think it kind of drives some people who don't have that necessarily. They have other skills that are strong, but not that one. So what I get a lot is, do you have still more questions?
No. That's
So I've kind of learned that little dance, so to speak.
Yeah, talk to me more about what that dance is. How do you interact with others then that have lower intellectual curiosity and that maybe reflect in that way to your questions instead of appreciating maybe are like really another?
Well, I think it's that I'm not just asking it out of the blue. I'm asking it because something triggered me.
Right.
And if it's at work, something triggered me that I don't understand.
Mm,
It's not always technical. Sometimes it's conversational. Sometimes it's process oriented, but it's something I don't really understand. So, in order for me to be the chief experience officer and do demonstrations and work with Will Lindstrom to get through this, I need to get some background information. I'm curious about it and I start asking questions. After about the third or fourth, okay, maybe the fifth question, the person I'm talking to says, "Do you have enough yet?" And my response is, it's not a matter of having enough yet. It's like, I'm not asking this just for my own happiness. I really need to understand how this kind of works. So, can you take a step back and maybe we can role play it or do something that would help you understand why I have these questions?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that's helpful too to be able to kind of give that perspective to your coworker or to anyone who's kind of pushing back on you asking questions in any scenario you're in. I think something that you mentioned that's really important to highlight is this kind of knowing when to push and when to let go and giving that clarity to them, right? Around when you really need that information and it's not just, oh, I'm curious because I want to know for fun or because I want to dig into this area, which maybe is a natural inclination, but also knowing then like coming into something maybe with a plan of like, what do I need? And getting that information. And then kind of once you reach that point, understanding where that is. Yeah, that's an interesting kind of balance trying to find out.
And I think some of our listeners will probably be able to relate to this. I am the least technical person in the world, yet I am surrounded by programmers and technical types. There is a kind of a stepping back to step forward. Like, I don't really understand this. Could you explain it to me so that I get a better understanding? Because they're kind of like talking to each other all day and they understand each other's language,
Gotcha. Okay.
right? And I'm not getting that language. But I'm also kind of curious about how it works, how
Yeah.
whatever it is I'm asking for works without the big technical explanation. That's another thing. And I'm always kind of fascinated when somebody like that on the team gets a bit frustrated with the fact that I don't get the concept. Or why do I need to know? All I need to know is they programmed it and it works. And they're not trying to be rude in any way. They just kind of don't get where I'm coming from, just like I don't get where they're coming from.
Right.
I have to take a step back and kind of say, I'm not just plain curious about it. I really, really would like to know how this works because then it will help me help the client. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's that interesting difference of like not everyone is driven by the same need to explore ideas or understand even what other people around
Right,
are doing. And that's just different strengths. Some people like to do things, some people like to think, some people want more information to
right,
function and to so it's so important to go into that situation with trying to gain understanding, but also showing empathy. And that's something that everyone around you can benefit from too. Like, even if you have lower intellectual curiosity and you're listening to this, to reflect on that and realize where are situations where I have to be more empathetic, and then where are situations where you have to lead by example and stay curious or kind of help make sure that things are concise as needed and kind of strike that kind of system of allowing both the people who are more intellectually curious to thrive and help that grow and create new ideas and foster understanding and collaboration while also not letting it take over and still making sure things get executed on and so on and so forth.
Yeah, those are such good points. And it kind of has my mind leading back to what we do for the client,
Right.
right? And who's to say that the client isn't going to ask me that question or ask our team that question? I think the client has paid for the service. They're getting this, they're receiving the benefits of all the that it provides. And they may have intellectual curiosity, or they just may have a simple question around understanding how XYZ works,
Right.
because we are here for them and because of them. To me, it's always, well, what does the client need also? It's not just a Cynthia show or anything like that. It's really, and I'm sure that you experience that at the Crucible as well. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
you work with many types of leadership teams and leaders, and it's for them, it's for their knowledge or development. This has really been interesting. I really learned a lot from you there, Drea. Do you have more to share?
I'm curious. So, an area here that I'd want to kind of dig into a little bit more is how would you suggest kind of working with people both that are more intellectually curious and less, kind of from your own experience as someone who is more intellectually curious? How would you suggest someone works on that? Because it's an interesting field to kind of, it's an interesting trait, I mean, to kind of try to build. Because it's one where you can kind of dig for your hidden curiosity and try to kind of lean into that more. But how else would you say developmentally someone can tackle that?
I'm thinking that one needs to recognize, who am I speaking to,
Yeah.
right? I have this trait. How does that person receive that trait?
Right.
Can we figure out, are they waiting for it? They want it right away. I
Mm.
try to read the person's intake. And then if I don't think that I know it, I will say to them, well, tell me what it is that's not clear. Help me understand so I can reframe it for you.
Right.
And if I think that they're getting it, but they still seem to be scratching their head, then that's a sign that they're not going to ask me. So I'm going to put it out there. I'll just say, part of the reason I'm explaining this is because of this.
Right.
And I'll give an example. When I saw this working, it worked beautifully. When I didn't see this particular thing working, it was something that required a lot of unraveling in terms of what I'm looking for or the development of that person.
I like that. So it's really pulling on communication and reading the person you're talking to. That makes me think about when we work with our developers at the Crucible, we're much more technically focused. I've realized like I can't drop a big idea in a conversation unless I've already mapped out the details because they're just not the people.
Yeah.
They'll hear the big idea and the wheels start turning. So if it's a big idea for 3 months from now, it's something that I need to keep internally, talk to my team, map things out, and then bring it when we're ready for the wheels to start turning and it to become a reality. But it's very interesting. It's just catering to the type of
Yes.
and their
Yes.
style. I love
And I do a lot of executive coaching, so I'm somewhat used to that,
that.
but not everybody I work with has had that experience or is used to it. But the most important thing you said is communication, because our solution discusses and assesses four dimensions of culture.
Right.
And the first one is communication. The second one is trust. The third one is alignment. And the fourth one is accountability. And the communication and trust aspects carry more weight. They're more serious. The other two, of course, of course, all four are connected,
Mhm.
but the communication and trust scenario is really the one that I see the most in the results of our solution results is mostly communication, but not to minimize the other three, or certainly not to say that trust is not right on that same level with communication. But in this case, communication is where it's at.
Definitely. And so essential for culture and making sure that
Yes.
you have differing levels of different traits like intellectual curiosity. You can find that middle ground. You can build an effective team because of it, not in spite of it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well,
Well,
thanks a lot, Andrea. You really helped me think about it and
yeah,
realize what the different parts of it and how I can be even better.
awesome. Yeah, thanks for your time.
See you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Leadership Traits Decoded. You'll be able to find all our episodes on the Performance Leadership Learning Lab website at www.pllab.com, or you can listen on your favorite streaming platform.
We'll be back soon to explore the next essential trait. Until then, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn if you have any questions or ideas.